Hey everyone, it's William with Scamming Scammers. Just wanted to say hello to everybody. We're going to do a Q&A. So if you guys want to join us, you're more than welcome to come into the chat. I'll be answering questions, and a lot of you guys wrote in a bunch of questions, so I'm going to try to answer as many as I possibly can. And if you have any questions you'd like to ask, go ahead and ask in the chat, and I'll try to answer them as soon as possible. I hope everyone can hear me okay, and all you guys out there are doing well, considering what's going on in the world. We're kind of all, pretty much the majority of us are housebound. So if you're like me, you're stuck in the house, and this would be a great opportunity to do a Q&A. I was going to do one last night, but you guys wrote in a ton of questions, so I'm going to do it tonight. And again, if you have any questions you'd like answered, write them in the chat, and I'll try to answer them as quickly as possible. So let's get started. I'll fill you guys in on what's going on with me. I've been quarantined for 14 days. This is, I believe, day 6 of my quarantine. We've had some issues at work that caused me to possibly get sick and have some things happen. So I am quarantined in the house. And then after that, we'll see how things go as far as my job. But so I've been working on some videos and some stuff. So let's cover some topics. First of all, we'll start with the elephant in everybody's room, coronavirus, COVID-19. All of us are scared to death, or at least the majority of us should be. And unfortunately, what's happening is scammers are seeing that as an opportunity to try and take advantage of you. So as we know, when there's a crisis, a war, any kind of social issues, scammers are right there. They watch the news just like you and I do. So what's been happening is scammers have been creating more and more fake doctor dating profiles and fake profiles with, medical and things like that. So what's happening is we've had a lot of victims come to us and say that they've been speaking online to somebody who's a doctor, and that they want to meet the love of their life, but they're, quarantined because they're helping all these people in different countries with COVID-19. So what it comes down to is real doctors, real healthcare workers, nurses, things like that. They're not sitting online chatting to you. So people that are working in the healthcare industry right now are not sitting online looking for the love of their life. With all that being said as well, they don't need your money. So too often we see, fake profiles, doctor profiles saying, hey, I need some money for medical supplies. I need iTunes cards. I can't get out of the hospital and things like that. It's a scam. Real doctors have access to their bank accounts. Real doctors and nurses and things like that are able to get their money, get their supplies, get their phone and things paid for. So with COVID-19 going around, more and more doctor profiles are popping up, as well as profiles pretending to be the World Health Organization, the United Nations, the Red Cross, White Cross, all these healthcare workers. So please keep in mind, people that work for these organizations are not asking you for money. They're not asking you for iTunes cards. They don't need your bank details. They don't need you to pick up money for them. So please keep that in mind. The scams are growing as this pandemic grows. And unfortunately, scammers are opportunists. So they want to take advantage of that. So please, please, please be very aware of that. We've already had at least a dozen victims come to our inbox and say, hey, I'm talking to this doctor, he needs some money. So please keep that in mind as we move forward, and I hope you guys are staying healthy. If you're quarantined in the house like I am, I hope you're not dying of boredom like I am. So thanks everyone who's coming into the chat. And as I said, if you have any questions, ask them in the chat and I'll try to answer them. I had a lot of you guys write in with tons of questions, so we're going to get to them right now. Joy, hi, I'm from Australia. I had a friend request from a general. He was a chief of staff. Yeah, if you're talking to like any kind of general or any kind of these army guys, military guys that are generals and all these, it's going to be scammers. Real military guys don't want you to go to WhatsApp or Hangouts right away. They don't want military generals are not online chatting to you. They're not looking for love. They're not looking to know you. They're not doing anything like that. So just kind of remember that. And sadly, the majority of our victims are victims of military fake profile scams. So please always remember that real military people are not chatting online to you, wanting you to go to Hangouts and WhatsApp. So hi, everyone's coming to the chat. Hi, Peggy. Good to see you. And hope you guys are all staying safe. Unfortunately, with all of us being quarantined in the house or self-quarantining or being forced to or whatever your situation is, scammers know this. And so they're coming out in just full force because they know we're home. They know we're sitting home. They know we have nothing else to do but what, go on the internet and pet our dogs and watch TV. So as more and more of us are sitting online, we have time to chat to people, and we want to chat to people because we want that interaction. And so scammers know this. So please be aware of that. And someone asked a question to me, which I'll start off with, is how do you think scammers are going to get their money and their iTunes cards now that we're all quarantined in the house? And my answer to that is they will get it, because Western Union and MoneyGram, you can do it online. You don't even have to leave your couch. And iTunes cards, Amazon cards, gift cards, you can buy those online. And so scammers are making people go onto websites and buy these gift cards. They're also, telling people, well, give me your bank information and you can do a transfer. So the virus and people being quarantined is not stopping scammers from saying, hey, get on this website and buy me an iTunes card. It just makes it easier, because now we don't have to say to scammers, well, I can't get out, it's late at night, or I can't get out because I'm quarantined. They'll say, well, here, just go on this website and buy me a gift card. So keep that in mind when they ask that kind of thing. So we had quite a few questions. I had a ton. So I'm going to start with these. And if you have like an urgent question, just ask it in the chat. I'll try to grab it and answer it for you. So the first question came to us from one of our YouTube regulars. I've been chatting to this guy online for 8 months. We met on Facebook in a group we are both in. He asked me to download Hangouts. We text there and he has called me. In all these months, we built up a relationship. He's never once asked me for money or iTunes or any cards, and he refuses to video chat. Now he says he wants to marry me, but he's working overseas and will return home in 3 weeks for us to meet. When I asked him about video chat, he said he would rather meet face to face. What kind of scam is this? He's not asked me for anything. It's a good question. It is a scam. It'll be a scammer, and they don't ask you for anything. What happens is he will. So he's coming home in 3 weeks, which means in these next 3 weeks, he's going to either ask you for a plane ticket, there's going to be a robbery, he's going to get sick, there's going to be a crisis, he's going to ask you for money. So keep that in mind. It comes down to, if somebody will not video chat with you, something's very wrong with them. Whether they're lying about their appearance or they're not even the person in the photo. There's video cameras on every device we have. So if someone is telling you, hey, I want to meet you face to face, I want to marry you, but I won't video chat with you, something is extremely, extremely wrong with that. So it all comes down to, a lot of scammers don't ask for money right away. They will chat to their victims for months. Some have even chatted for years before they'll actually ask for money. So we get this notion that just because someone hasn't asked me for money right away, that they're real. It's all in what they tell you. It's not what they ask of you right away. Hi, everybody is coming into the chat. Hi, good to see everybody. First time online on here. We're going to try to do these Q&As more frequently, just because right now I'm not working because of the virus. So I have time on my hands. Do you think scammers are watching the news about the upcoming stimulus checks? I do. Absolutely, they are. Scammers know when we get paid. They know that April is tax time. They know that we're getting stimulus checks. They watch the news just as much as you and I do. So yes, they do. And that's a great point. Here in the United States, they're talking about giving us stimulus checks of around $1,000, and there's different numbers floating around, but $1,000 seems to be the core number. Scammers know that. So scammers will hit you up for that money. I believe there was an announcement made today in the news that in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, we're going to start getting these checks. So be aware. Scammers know. Scammers know everything. A lot of us think scammers are stupid, but they're not. They know when we get paid. They know when we get a crisis. They know when tax time is. They know everything. So yes, I think they will hit people up for money. Next question we have, do scammers ever see other scammers' fake profiles and they're both using the same photo? What then? Don't they realize everyone uses the same photo? Why don't they change their tactics? So sometimes they do. I've seen 2 scammers get in an argument over my fake old lady profile because they were both using photos of Dr. Samadi. And so I said to one of the Dr. Samadis, I said, hey, there's a guy using your photo here. And they ended up arguing with each other on the site. They do, but you have to keep in mind that scammers are all over. So a scammer using Dr. Samadi's photo in, say, India, and then there's a scammer using the same photo in Ghana, they're not going to know each other, so they're just going to probably argue with each other, tell each other off, and then move on. Some scammers stick to the core. They use the same photos. They'll use Dr. Samadi, Dr. Pinto, Stuart James. They use the same core photos all the time. But a lot of scammers are evolving, and they're using photos of people we don't know. So a lot of victims will come to us and they'll say, hey, this is a photo I've never seen before. I get no search results. He must be real. And then we'll come back and say, well, what did he say to you? Oh, well, he's deployed to Nigeria and he needs $500. And there's your answer. It's a fake. And a lot of times the victim will come back and say, well, I don't know the photo. So, how do we know? It comes down to what they're telling you. So more and more scammers are stealing photos of people like your neighbor next door who isn't going to show up on search. And that's what's happening more and more often. So, and people ask us, what's the best place to check photos? And we used to tell people Google. But right now, Google doesn't really do a whole lot. You can Google a photo and it'll come up with something not even relevant to what you're looking for. TinEye is a great source to look up photos. And also Yandex, YANDEX images. That's a Russian run search site, and you can get hit and miss in that. I've heard people say they've gotten viruses from being on it. I've never had issues with it, but those are the core search sites we use. And Google is like your last resort for looking at photos. I always go to TinEye and Yandex first. So I hope that answers your question. Next question we have: I've been in a relationship for the past 5 months with a man I met on Match.com. He says he's working on an oil rig and will be there for 4 more months. He says all the oil rig workers need iTunes cards to continue to communicate with their loved ones, and that they are locked away on the oil rig until the contract finishes. I've been sending iTunes cards. Is this for real? Sometimes I feel he's fake. I can tell you right now it's a fake. Real people that work on oil rigs are not trapped on the oil rig for months. They're not locked down there for months. I used to live in Texas. I used to work, I knew a guy that worked, he's my roommate, and he worked on an oil rig, and he would go out for 14 to 18 days at a time and then come home. They flew them on and off the rig. They didn't pay for it. They had communication. They had everything they needed. So if you're talking to somebody who says they're on an oil rig and they've been on there for a year, 6 months, 5 months, they're trapped. They have to pay to get evacuated off of it. They need iTunes cards. All of that is a scammer. And when scammers started doing romance scams, oil rig worker was the big profession. So I would suggest you block that person and do not buy them any more iTunes cards at all. Do not do it. So just checking the chat. Like I said, if you guys got questions, I'm happy to answer them. I'll move on to the next question somebody asked, and we'll see. And again, it all comes down to trusting your gut instincts. I mean, if you're talking to somebody online and they say something to you about their job and you think, well, that doesn't sound right, it usually isn't. So, trust your gut. You know what sounds right, what doesn't. You know what's legit and what isn't. And if you don't know, look it up. It takes 5 minutes to Google oil rig and see what really, entails working on an oil rig. So always trust your gut instinct. And if people are asking you for things and you've never met them in person, then it's always going to be a scam. Always, no matter what the story is. So next question we have: I've been talking and online dating with a military man I met. He says he's deployed to Syria and will come home soon to marry me. He asked me if he can take care of me and has been paying my phone bill this past month. It shows the bill is paid, so he truly cares. You told me it's a scammer. Why do you think this, and what do you think will happen? Scammers don't pay your bills. Yes, they do. So let's start off with one thing. Military men that are deployed, especially to Syria, are not going to be chit-chatting with you online. They're not going to want to know your login details for your phone. They're not going to pay your phone bill. One of two things is going to happen. That phone bill was paid with a stolen credit card or stolen bank details. Once the company finds out, that bill will come back and you will owe that money. Another thing is if you've given a person you don't know your login details to your phone account, they will order phones in your name. They will go onto your account. Sometimes they change your password and they'll go ahead and order phones. They will say, oh, I want an iPhone. I want a SIM card. And they order it and they send it to other people. And then those other people usually ship it overseas. they'll send it to a package mule or whoever. So if you're talking to somebody online and they've paid your bill for you, something's very wrong. And especially real military men deployed, paying your phone bill is the last thing they care about. So you're definitely talking to a scammer, and I would definitely check that bill in the next billing cycle, and you'll find that you probably owe 2 months of phone bills rather than the one. So, again, it comes down to don't give people your payment details and your login details for anything. It doesn't matter if they offer to pay your mortgage. Don't do it. Alex, someone got a vid through a Skype call and then got my Insta. I blocked the person on Insta. No one got the video. It's been 2 weeks. Should I be worried someone could get in? I wouldn't. And I mean, it depends. Like, if someone has your video or you've been on video with someone, they could use it for a different scam. But if you've secured your Instagram, I wouldn't worry too much about it, to be honest. Brenda, you bust scammers and they actually admit it to me? Yeah, they do. Scammers confess to us all the time, and a lot of them will say, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I've never scammed before," and they've done it a million times. So. Next question we have from somebody. This man I met is working in Malaysia. We're in a relationship, and he has packaged up jewelry, cash, a new iPhone, a couple of dresses, and gifts for me. The shipping company contacted me and said I have to pay the amount and tax on the items. When I tell him that I can't afford to pay, he gets upset because he wants me to have his gifts. He makes me feel like it's all my fault and that I'm ungrateful. Now I'm trying to secure a loan to pay for the box. Why would a scammer send all these gifts if he's fake? He wouldn't do this. So this is called a package scam. We've done a video about this called What's in the Box. And what happens is a scammer with a fake profile will romance you, and they'll pretend to be very wealthy and blah, blah, blah. Oh, dear, I've gotten you an iPhone, I've gotten you jewelry, I've put $10,000 in cash underneath the box of perfume and all this stuff, and I'm going to send it to you. And then what happens is a fake shipping company will contact you and say, oh, we have your package, but you have to pay a tax or you have to pay a fee on it. And that's the scam. So in reality, there's no items, there's no box, there's no shipping company. The shipping company is the scammer. It's the same person that's been romancing you. They're just pretending to be a shipping company. What happens is a victim pays for the shipping of this imaginary box, and that's the scam. Scam over. You've sent money, the scammer gets your money, and you're done. Some scammers create fake shipping websites that look very real. And keep in mind that to create a website costs you about $5. And most scammers can make them with stolen credit cards. They buy a domain, they create this website, and they're done. So it's a scam. There will be no package, and if you were to pay the fee, which you shouldn't do, there'll be another fee. There'll be another tax. There'll be the box had drugs in it. There'll be some kind of excuse to get more and more money out of you. So at the end of the day, you're being scammed. And don't take out a loan. Don't try to get money for anybody. There's no box. And so we have victims that'll say to us, a lot of times they'll say, hey, I want that package. I want that box. And it's hard to explain to people there is no box. There's no box, there's no jewelry, there's no perfume. The person isn't real. It's a scam. So just kind of keep that in mind. And they do ask if you've eaten, don't they? So someone asked me the other day, and this was on our other Q&A that I haven't uploaded yet. One of the more popular questions that scammers ask is, have you eaten today? And to us, like I'm an American. I live in America. So to me, for someone to come up to me and say, have you eaten today? I think that's kind of a dumb question. Most of us find the question kind of weird. But you have to remember that in cultures in different African countries, that's kind of a normal thing to say. I once worked for a gentleman, I believe he was from Sudan. He was my boss. And every morning he would greet me and he'd say, how are you? Have you eaten today? And I asked him one time, I said, why do you ask that? He said, well, it's just normal. It's what we ask people in his country. So, scammers do it for different reasons. They do it to kind of show that they care about you. So they'll ask you, have you eaten? And a lot of victims will say, well, gosh, I'm so glad that you asked that because I was really, you care about me. But keep in mind, it's just a way for them to show that they care, but they don't care. They're trying to, have you trust and warm up to them. So if you're talking to a gentleman that's, USA gung-ho military man, and he goes, dear, have you eaten today, my queen? It's not a military man, a U.S. military man. So, hi everyone, is coming in the chat. Glad you guys are joining us. We've been considering doing more Q&As on YouTube because we just seem to get a lot more feedback on it. A lot of people are telling us that they're not on Facebook anymore, and so we're going to hope to do more Q&As on here. So, but yeah, we have a lot of questions. I'm going to try to get through it and answer the ones in the chat. So, next question is kind of an interesting one. Is there a database of names scammers use that I can check to see if I'm talking to a scammer? There has to be an easier way. So here's the deal with the names. Names change every day. So Bob Jones today, the scammer's using Bob Jones. Tomorrow it's Bill Smith. And the next day it's, Watson Nelson or whatever. So names mean nothing. And if you were to put Bill Smith into a database, of course it's going to bring up a bunch of scam stuff because that's a common name. So the best way to do it is not so much by the names, but by the photos and what they're telling you. So when it comes down to, do you know the photo? Oh, I've seen that photo before. Well, why is this photo on this profile and this profile? It's a fake. Are they asking for money? Are they, a widow? Are they 57 years old with a 2-year-old tiny child and their wife died in a car crash? Those are the things you need to look for, not so much the names. A name database wouldn't help to know if you specifically were talking to a scammer. It comes down to what they're saying to you. So I hope that makes sense. Would scammers go as far as saying they have the coronavirus to get money? Sure. Scammers say they have malaria. Scammers say their kidney. I had a scammer a couple nights ago say that he had a brain tumor, that his brain was going to explode if he didn't get money. Yes, scammers will say they have coronavirus and COVID-19. They'll say they're dying and they need medical treatment and they need to be rushed to the hospital, and they'll ask for money. Absolutely. They are opportunists. They will take any crisis and say they need money. Back a few years ago when Turkey had a really bad earthquake and people were dying, people were, they needed help. Scammers were saying, oh, I'm in Turkey and I'm injured, I need money. They'll absolutely do it. They'll find any reason to try and get money. So yes, they will. Scammers are frauds. Let's see. Needed money to get off the ship he was working on. Yeah. Again, it comes down to whether they're doctors or oil rig workers or whatever. They don't need money to get off the ship. They don't need money to go home. All of that's paid for by whatever corporation, company, whatever they're working for. So unfortunately, that happens. Why do they ask what room you were in? You know what? That's a good question. I had a scammer a couple nights ago say to me, where are you chatting at me from, dear? And I said, my house. And he said, well, what room are you in? And I always tell him I'm locked in the basement because I like to mess with them. But sometimes they like to know where you're at because they want to know if you're by yourself. So if you say to a scammer, oh, I'm in my kitchen and my 2 kids are right next to me and they're playing video games, a scammer will kind of close himself in and not speak. And he'll say, oh, I'll talk to you later, dear. But if you say to a scammer or fake profile, I'm in my bedroom with the door shut, the kids are downstairs, my husband's out in the yard, I'm just relaxing in my bedroom by myself, that's when they're going to say, oh, opportunity, let me start chatting with you, let me start romancing you, let me start trying to get you buttering up to me. So that's kind of why they ask. They just want to know, where you're at so that they can talk to you, or they have to wait to talk to you later. So. Question, I had a guy go over to China for business before all this happened. Everything was normal, except he wanted to send me some expensive pocketbooks and jewelry and stuff. I told him no. So it could have been a shipping scam. It could have been where there was I never gave this man my last name or address besides, I remember you saying they buy things for you. Yes. So it could have been one of two things. He could have been over in China and he had a special box to send you. He would show you the items, they're usually taken off of a website, put it in a box, I'm going to send it to you, and then you would have gotten contacted by the shipping company who would have asked you for money. But what we have here is I had a victim a couple weeks ago who actually gave a scammer a fake profile, her address, she started getting all kinds of stuff in the mail from Amazon and then she ended up having people coming by her house and looking at these items. And so the scammer was trying to use her as a package mule, and that happens a lot too. So it depends what he does. Mark Zuckerberg does not give out lottery grants on Messenger. He doesn't give out anything on Messenger. So if you're getting a message from somebody like that, it's a scammer, 100%. Are you scared of the coronavirus? Sure. Aren't we all? My job, I work in a place where it puts me at risk. I'm under a 14-day quarantine right now just to be safe. I don't feel sick. So, but yeah, everybody's kind of scared. Everyone's, we don't know what's going on. We don't know what the future is going to happen. So we just take one day at a time. Should I feel bad for messing with scammers? I never do. I mean, no, it's up to you, but I don't. I don't. So we have another question. I met a man online on our time. We chatted on the site for a few days before he asked for my email. From there, we went to WhatsApp. So from email to WhatsApp, he said he's working in the UK as an engineer. He wants me to move to the UK with him and said he was going to buy me an airline ticket. We've not video chatted. He says his phone camera is cracked, which is why we haven't video chatted. Why would he buy me a plane ticket if he's fake? He'll be fake. Real people, if your phone cracks, guess what? I'm sitting in this office right now and I have 4 cameras. So if your phone is cracked, you have another way to video chat. So if a person won't video chat, something's wrong. He's probably going to offer to send you a plane ticket, and what will happen is he'll say something like, oh, I need your bank information because I'll wire you the money to get the ticket, and he'll use your account as a money mule. That's usually what happens. He will not outright just buy you a plane ticket that's legit. He may send you a fake one via email. Then a crisis will happen or something's going to happen where he asks you for money or your bank account, sure enough. And again, it all comes down to if somebody does not video chat with you, there's something wrong, whether they're a scammer or they're not the person in the photo. So please remember that. First, that's the first thing you should remember. Normal people can video chat. People hiding something cannot video chat with you. So next question we have is from one of our regulars. I've been in an online relationship with a woman I met on a gaming site. The gaming site we play on is mostly all video chat. We all get on cam and play video games and video chat. The woman says she's too shy to get online and video chat. Her cam is always off. She says she's from Florida, but when I told her I want us to meet, she said her father died and she had to fly to Nigeria to deal with his estate. Now, since being there, I'm getting emails from her barrister about some issues on her property. The barrister has asked me for $1,000 and said once she gets the estate settled, we can meet. What do you think? I think you're talking to a Nigerian scammer who's probably not even female. That's pretty much my answer. People that will, again, it comes down to people who don't video chat, something's wrong. Especially if you're on a site like a gaming site like Twitch or one of those gaming sites where literally every single person you're chatting with is on camera, then something is wrong if the person doesn't want to cam chat. Again, it comes down to real people get on video chat. I'm live right now in front of God knows how many people. So real people will get on video chat, and that's just you're being scammed. You need to stop talking to this person. Don't answer the email and block them on whatever gaming site you're talking to them on. And in fact, if you're on a game site and you're in a group, tell the admin so they can ban the person. Next question is interesting. Has there ever been a time that a man in the stolen picture takes control and stops scammers from using his photos? Why don't more people take charge and stop them? Good question. So someone steals your photo online and it goes viral. Like, let's give an example, Dr. Pinto. 5 million scammers have Dr. Pinto's photo. If someone stole your photo online, you can't simply reach out and say, hey, I want that photo back, because it's not paper. It's not, we're not in the 1980s. It's not paper. So when someone steals your photo, what happens is it goes viral and that scammer sends it to another and another and another. So the real man in the photo cannot say, hey, you stopped that. I want my picture back. And the scammers go, okay, and give it back. It doesn't work that way. It goes viral. So there's no way for the man in the photo to stop that from happening. The only thing a person can do that has had their photos stolen is to look at what's happening, lock down their profile so that they don't steal more photos of you or videos. And that's all you can do. Never in the history of scamming, online romance scamming, has a man in the photo or a woman in the photo ever been able to stop a scammer from using their photo. This comes down to like George Kozma. We all know George Kozma. He's a great guy. He's from Romania. He's got 2 kids and a wife. Super duper nice guy if you've ever chatted to him. Here's the thing. Hi, little. Here's the thing. He can't stop the scammers from using his photos. He actually has done videos saying, hey, I'm not, scamming you. I'm so-and-so. There's nothing anyone can do when your photos are stolen. So no, there's never been a case where the man stopped it, and you can't do anything about it, unfortunately. How do you uncover the names of the scammers? It depends. A lot of times it's through the payment details. If a victim brings us a fake profile and they say, well, I sent $10,000 to Nigeria to this person, we usually track them with the phone number, with the name, with the bank account details. Sometimes the scammer will use their real profile on Facebook to scam, and they just change their photo to a stolen photo and they change the name, but the URL always stays the same. So, for example, Bob Smith, and it's a fake profile, and the URL says, Oyuel so-and-so. Usually we can click on that, get the name, check, see who likes the photos, and usually there's 1 or 2 of his friends that actually like his photos, and then we'll usually find them through that way. And a lot of times scammers just leave their real photos open in their albums. So they'll make a fake profile out of their real profile, but they forget to close down their albums, and so we just click on the albums and find out who they are. And that's pretty much how we do it. I mean, it's very rare that we find them any other way. So just reading your guys' comments. If I missed a question and you need it answered, just type it again. I'll try to catch it. The chat goes really, really super fast. So, but hi to everyone who's joining us, and hi to all the other anti-scam scam baiters that are in here. I see you guys, and I'm a fan of almost all of your guys' channels, so I appreciate you guys coming in. So next question we have, and this is kind of an interesting one because this happens a lot. My 75-year-old mother is involved with a man she met playing Words with Friends. He claims to be 50 and a widow with a young son who is 5. He keeps feeding my mother stories of how he will pay her bills, pay off her mortgage, and they can live together. He's supposed to be an engineer working overseas, blah, blah. You know the story. We have shown her the man in the photo. His name is not Mark Harris. It's a stolen picture of a Turkish news reporter. What else can we do? She's taken out loans. She's gotten herself in debt. We're at a total loss. What do you do when loved ones won't listen? That's frustrating. It's very frustrating. I can tell you that depending on, and it's a long process, depending on the age of your mother, your father, whoever it is. Now you said she's 75. When it comes down to your parents are taking out loans, they're getting themselves in debt, they're selling their car, they're going without food, they're giving their banking information, it's being used in scams. What you can do, and it's hard, is you can file for power of attorney. It's a long process. If you can claim that they're mentally unstable or physically something is wrong where they cannot take care of their own bills, you can actually file for power of attorney and try to take over their finances. Sometimes people will not listen. Sometimes, people see in front of them that they're being scammed, but they don't listen. They don't want to believe it. They don't want to know it. They just go, oh, no, he's real. Even though you've shown me that his real name is not Bob Smith, I know he's real. There's an excuse. And a scammer, when they confront the scammers, they come up with an excuse saying, I was hacked, I was this, I was that. So it's tough. And sometimes scammers are so emotionally manipulating and controlling that people are going to believe it no matter what you say. That victim is still going to believe that scammer, and it can be very, very, very frustrating. And that's my only advice to you would be to maybe try to get power of attorney to take over your mother's finances and try to stop it that way. Kathy, how can you check someone's photos? You can go to TinEye or Yandex Images and check them there. And again, like I said before, sometimes the photos don't always come up with who they belong to. It comes down to what the person is telling you more than who the photo belongs to. Are scammers from or in prison? Possibly. I mean, different prisons in different parts of the world, some might have internet, you know. I've had actually an interesting story. We had a gentleman um, call. I about 2 years ago, I set up where people could call us and ask us questions, and I actually had a gentleman from Rikers Island call me on the phone, and he was being scammed. And he was chatting. I guess whether he had an illegal cell phone or he was on a work really, I don't know what the deal was. He asked us if he was being scammed because he was in an online relationship with somebody through social media, and he was actually incarcerated at Rikers Island. So if victims can call from prison, um, hey, you know what? It's possible that scammers can be working from prison too. It's not unheard of. I mean, anything is possible in this kind of industry. JDV, are you familiar with the EFCC? Yes. Yes. My opinion on them is they do arrest some scammers, but they are also corrupt sometimes in their own ways. We've had victims that have gone to the EFCC for help, and the EFCC has told them, "Well, you need to file all these documents, and then we don't know if we can help you." And that comes down to is, and I'm not faulting them. It's where they're located. There's a lot of corruption in Nigeria. There's a lot of lack of funding for governmental offices. So I've seen them arrest a lot of scammers, but I've also seen them not be able to help. And I don't think a lot of it is their own fault, but they do work on stuff too, just like our FBI does, but it's limited. Airlines might stop flying soon, and there are already travel bans. How can scammers use this? Really easy. So you cannot leave. Let's say you're talking to a scammer who claims he's in Malaysia and needs to get home to Texas. I'm stuck, dear. So I can't fly home. I have to stay in a hotel, and I don't have any money because my credit cards have been stopped because of the virus and or some other crap excuse. Can you send me $1,000 or send it to actually the quarantine person who's working my agent in Malaysia, and he'll pick up the money and make sure I can stay at the hotel? So they're going to use a different excuse. So they're not going to ask you for money to come home. They're not going to ask you for money to visit. They're going to ask you for money for medicine, for hotel, for supplies, or, oh, I'm stuck in Malaysia, but my little tiny child, Timmy, is stuck in Texas and his nanny needs money. That's what they're going to do. They're going to start using different excuses. They're just going to start using different excuses. Kathy, reversed image, you go to the site, you save the photo on your phone or computer, go to the site like tineye.com or Yandex, click on the camera, click on images, click on upload, and it'll upload it for you, and it'll give you the search results. So I need to do a video on showing people how to upload images. It's something I can work on, but it's fairly easy. So just keep that in mind. Next question. I'm going to try to get through everybody's questions. If I miss any, I apologize. Next question we have you ever had a scammer confess and then claim he really loved you but was afraid to admit who he was because of his skin color? Yes. I've had countless scammers confess to my old lady profile, my country lady. And they'll say they feel bad, and so they'll confess, and they'll say, "Look, I'm really a 21-year-old man from Ghana. I figured you wouldn't like me because of my skin color, but I'll never scam again. I fell in love with you. It's my first time scamming. I'm so sorry. Please, will you marry me? Will you be with me? I'm so poor. I have no rice. I have nothing. I'm blah blah blah." That's what they do. Scammers do confess, and they do try to scam you as themselves. They try to scam you as their real personality, their real person, and they say they're poor and all that stuff. So keep in mind that, some confess for different reasons. Some confess because they think maybe they can win you over as themselves. Some do it out of desperation because they're not getting money off of you as their fake profile, so they're going to try to get money off of you as themselves. At the end of the day, you're talking to a scammer. Whether it's his first time scamming or his 500th time scamming, you're still talking to a scammer. And so the best thing you can do is block that person and move on. And I've said this before, and the really, really poor people that are dirt poor, are not on the internet. They don't have electricity. They don't have the means to pay a cyber cafe time to be on the internet. So, we've had scammers confess before, and they've told me, oh, I don't even have money for rice. I'm so hungry. And I say, okay, well, give me your name, give me your information. And they do. And then I find their real Facebook profile, and they've got more money than I do. So you have to be very careful with that. If you want to help the poor people, I have nothing against helping the poor, but make sure you're helping genuinely poor people and not kids that are going to college that have a car, that are on the internet all hours of the day and night, that have a nicer phone than you do. So yeah, scammers do confess, absolutely. Have you been watching 90 Day Fiance and the Nigerian men who are meeting and marrying American women? What are your thoughts? I love that show. I have watched 90 Day Fiance since the first season. Okay, let's. I want to say this without giving too much away. My thoughts on the show as a whole is, you know what, in the beginning of the season, they had really great couples that were truly in love. And now they're kind of getting into that Jerry Springer-ish, trashy kind of stuff that people love. If we're talking about Angela and Michael, you know what, it's a drama. Do I think that he's in it for a green card? Probably. But at the end of the day, they're still together. They're still trying. The newest couple, if you're talking about Lisa and Usman, I don't want to say too much about it, other than I do know Lisa as not a personal friend, but I've known her for quite a while. I've known her before she went over to Nigeria. She's a very nice lady. But I think she made a big mistake by going over there, and I don't think that his intentions were true with her, and I don't think the intentions of a lot of those couples are real. When it comes to couples like Big Ed and Rose, neither one of them are good intentions. One wants a green card, and one wants a girlfriend. So. But a lot of women do go over to Nigeria to find love. And a lot of them do find love. A lot of Nigerian guys and girls are great. But as far as the ones on the show, no, I think it's just it's horrible. I think it's horrible what happened on that show. Do you know of any scammers that have actually returned the money to their victims? Nope. I've seen scammers that have actually given money back. But what they've done is they've said, okay, I stole $1,000 from you. I'm going to give you 5,000 back, keep 2,000, send the other 3 forward. And so they'll use victims as a money mule. I've never once in the history of doing this have I ever seen a scammer to give back the money because they felt bad or they felt guilty. Absolutely not. They'll use victims as a money mule. Absolutely, use your head, not your heart. I mean, we all want to love and be loved, but be smart about it. Once they confess, do their scams continue as part 2 of the scam? Yes. Good night, Cheryl. Good night, everyone who's leaving. Yeah, when they confess as themselves, sometimes they say, I'll never scam again. I'm really in love with you. I want to be with you. And then they just start scamming as themselves, saying, well, here's the truth. I'm a 19-year-old man from wherever, and I'm trying to get through school, and I need some money. And so they're just scamming you as themselves. Like I said before, it comes down to once you're once you're a scammer, you're a scammer. You don't going to change overnight. So no. Karen, I have one asking me to send money to a woman in South Africa to give to an attorney for him being held in a South African prison. It's a scam. It's definitely a scam. Prisons, things like that, they don't work that way. And one of the popular scams are, I'm in prison, dear, but you can talk to the prison official and he'll take your money. It doesn't work that way. And a lot of people fall victim for that. They don't realize that jails don't work that way. So it's a scam. Without a doubt, it's a scam. So I'm sorry if I missed your question. Like, my chat's going really, really, really fast. So if I miss something, it's really important. I'll try to read back and get it. But just keep in mind, I only have so many eyeballs. So sorry. Next question. Do you think scammers truly believe in God? I heard a lot of scammers recite the Bible and other things with victims. My scammer knew all the religious songs and Bible songs. Do they study religion to scam people? No, they actually, this is an interesting question. I get asked this a lot. They don't study the Bible to scam people. Most scammers are religious. Most scammers go to church on Sundays. A lot of them are Christian, a lot of them are Muslim. They pray to Allah, they pray to God. They are extremely religious. It is not uncommon for a scammer to be able to cite the Quran, to recite the Bible. They have a different way of looking at it, though. Scammers will, a lot of scammers will go to church every Sunday. They'll pray to God and thank God for sending them victims. So they see it in kind of a twisted way. They think that God sends them victims, and so that's why a lot of times scammers, will recite the Bible with people. And unfortunately, they target people who are religious, who are Christian, who do read the Bible, who do go to church on Sundays, and they make that connection that way. So when they do that, they'll make a connection with the victim, and they'll read Bible stories. They'll recite, all these different verses in the Bible, and tell you they're Christian loving. And in reality, they are Christian loving. They are religious, but they're using their religion as a tool to try and scam people, and it's unfortunate. Um, let's see. When they ask for money for their replacement to get home, and they say they work for NASA, and he's in Antarctica, is this a scam? Yes, it is. I'll tell you a quick story. I used to live a 5-minute walk from NASA in California. And I knew a lot of guys that worked for NASA. They went on expeditions to Antarctica. And in fact, my former boss, her husband, used to actually go to Antarctica for different scientific expeditions. They don't need to pay for a replacement. That's as popular a scam as a soldier saying they need you to pay for their replacement to come home from the war. So yes, that is 100% a scam. If you're talking to somebody who is saying that, you are 100% talking to a scammer. Don't send any money. So, and I found my scammer's pictures on Yandex. I showed the pictures to him. He doesn't know who stole his pictures. Playing dumb. They do that. So if you confront a scammer and say, "Hey, I found your photos online. I know you're fake," a lot of times they will say, "Oh, someone stole my photos. I've never heard of it." Blah blah blah. They're just trying to play stupid. In reality, hey, they're using a stolen photo. What should I do if the scammer wants to send money to my credit card? You should block them, because the money is going to come from another victim, or it's going to come from some other form of fraud. And so if you give them that information and they pay your card or put money on your card, whoever's card they used to put money on your card, or whoever's bank account, when they go ahead and file a fraud report, they're going to trace it right back to your card and right back to you. Do not give them that information. Do not let them do that. So yeah, that's not a safe thing to do. I mean, you know what? It's great. I have credit card debt too, and I would love someone to pay my credit cards, but I would never give that information to somebody on the internet, because they're going to use you for fraud. Just remember, scammers find a use for you no matter what. So if you can't send them money, they're going to pay your bills for you by using a stolen credit card, stolen information, and they're going to try to use you as a wire fraud mule, a money mule. So never give your information. So next question we had was, who do you think the biggest victims of romance scams in terms of age, race, and location are? I'm gonna get a lot of shit for this one. Excuse me. Most of our victims, and I hate to say it, are women. I mean, men are victims too, but the majority that come to our inbox are women. They're between the ages of 35 and 70. The core of our victims are between 40 and 55. What has happened is a lot of victims fall into the category of a lot of them are widows, a lot of them are divorced, kids are grown, they're out the house, you've been divorced for 5 years and you want to find love, you go online. So that's what's happening with a lot of our victims. And unfortunately, a lot of our victims are divorced ladies, or ladies who have lost their husbands. Their kids are grown, they're out of the house, they're at college, they're off in their own life, and so they're alone. And so scammers look for that. As far as location, victims come from all over the world the same way as scammers come from all over the world. We'll have tons of victims from the Philippines, but then sometimes we'll have tons of victims from the UK. from America, from Australia, New Zealand, Canada. They come from all over. All of our inbox is pretty much a United Nations of people from all over. I've even had people in African countries who have been scammed by other scammers. So um, tracing IP addresses doesn't always work. Most IP addresses, when it comes down to Google and Yahoo, come back to California. So even if you could trace the IP and find out, um, it won't help to catch the scammer. Winter Song, how did you get into this? Okay, well, sure. So Anne created the page, Scamming Scammers, on Facebook, and created this channel on YouTube. And what happened was she was in an online romance with somebody she met, on the internet. She's in Australia, and the guy had finally, he romanced her for so long and then asked her for money. And when he asked her for money, it was kind of suspicious. So she teamed up with some friends and did some digging and found out about romance scams. She did not send the money. So she became so angry and empowered by, hey, I'm not going to let other women become victims. So she started Scamming Scammers on Facebook as just a community page. And then she started the Scamming Scammers YouTube channel, and she made like 1 or 2 videos with a couple friends. And then the channel kind of lay dormant for a while. Myself, I actually was on Facebook. I had a friend that liked the page Scamming Scammers. I didn't pay attention. I didn't know what it was. And someone had messaged me from a different anti-scam page saying, hey, your friend likes this page that they didn't like. A lot of people didn't like Anne's page when she started. They accused her of being a scammer. They did all kinds of crazy stuff. And so I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Went to Scamming Scammers page on Facebook, and I was great. I mean, I learned all kinds of stuff, and started chatting with Anne, making funny comments on some of the stupid photos of the photoshops and stuff. And we got to chatting, and as we got to chatting, we got to know each other. We exchanged Facebook profiles, and then we started Skyping because she wanted to make sure I was real. And so we started Skyping, and then the rest is history. But myself, I got into it through Anne. Prior to that, I used to admin over at Talk City back in the late 90s. So I was an admin over there, and we used to kick out scammers that were doing email scams and chatting scams and stuff. So that's kind of who I got into it. Winter Song, who is Anne? Anne is the page owner. Her photo is on the channel. Her photo is also on our Facebook page. She's the page owner. She's done videos before in the past as well. If you look back on our YouTube channel, you'll see her videos too. I do most of the live Q&A chats just because the last 2 years she's been dealing with a lot of health issues, and so she hasn't really wanted to be on cam as much. She's not feeling really great, but she does a lot of the notes, the inbox, and this is her channel and her page. I'm just kind of like the helper. So. But she created Scamming Scammers. Sam, I think I'm talking to a scammer. He had 4 different names. What do you think? Well, you probably are. If a person has 4 different names, there's something wrong with them. I only have 1 name. So yeah, probably talking to a scammer. Yeah. People don't have 4 different names generally. So, next question we have. What's the easiest way to tell that a profile is fake? I don't want to waste time chit-chatting with someone. Can I just look at a profile and know? Sure you can. So that comes down to the basics. If you're talking to somebody online, you don't want to really mess with them, look at their profile. So are you talking to a military guy and you go to his profile and he has 3 likes on his photo and they're all women and they're going, I love you, I want to be with you, and nothing else? Are you going to an engineer's profile and he has 2 likes on his profile, and one is a woman and the other one is a kid from Ghana? It's probably a scammer. That's some of the quick ways to tell. Does the name make sense? Is his name James Bob Tom? 3 first names? It's probably a scammer. Most military guys have profiles, but their profiles have 400 friends. They're commenting, they're laughing, they're joking. They're all military men. They're carousing back and forth on things. So if you're talking to somebody online who's a military profile and he has 3 likes on his profile, he has 2 photos, one is of some roses and one is of him in an army uniform going like this, it's a scammer. That's the easiest way to tell. I mean, there's so many ways to tell, but that's the basics. I mean, if you want to chat with them, usually it's the same old stories. I'm a widow. I have a little kid. My wife died, car crash, cancer, childbirth. She ran off with my best friend. Typical stories. I'm an engineer, oil rig worker, military man, doctor, orthopedic surgeon. I'm in Syria, Afghanistan, Iraq. I'm over in Malaysia working and buying gold. I mean, those are the typical crap stories they tell, and never changes. So that's kind of the best way to do it. Susan, how do they have a phone number that shows up from the state in the U.S. like Ohio? Really easy. Go to Gmail, go to Google, open a Gmail, get a Gmail account, and then go ahead and type in Google Voice. Open yourself a Google Voice account. Pick a state you want to be from. You want to be from Ohio? You want to be from San Antonio, Texas? Type in 210, click it, and it generates you a phone number from San Antonio, Texas. And they call using that app. So it gives them a US phone number. Also, textnow.com. Throw in a free email address. Pick a state you want to be from. Pick a city you want to be from. And it generates you a free phone number. And that's how they do it. And it's an app. So when you're calling that number, you're not calling an actual phone. You're calling an app on the phone. And that's how they do it. And the same goes for the UK. There's a free UK voicemail service called Call 8. And it'll give you a UK voicemail number as well. That's how they get them. Some scammers get SIM cards from victims and they put them in their phones and they have a US number. But most of the time, it's a free voicemail number. So, and people are surprised. They say, oh, I don't know. How did he get a US number? It's really, really simple. So hi to everyone who's joining us. Hello from Italy. Good to see you. I hope you're staying safe. I hope everybody's staying safe. We're all kind of, terrified of this virus, as we should be. And scammers are no different. They'll cash in on this, unfortunately. Next question we have. What online scam do you think is growing? Are romance scams where the profile is fake and romance is the victim still popular, or are other scams like the lottery or Bitcoin growing? Romance scams are still the most popular. Right below that, you've got Bitcoin and Forex trading, stock scams, lottery, Publishers Clearinghouse. But really, romance scams are still top. I can go on any dating site tonight and there'll be 500 fake profiles coming after me. So I think romance scams are still a top one. With the stock market being so volatile right now because of this pandemic, I don't think stock scams are gonna be as big as they have been. So, yeah. All right, next question. I'll try to get to everybody's question. I apologize if I don't. You always say ask for video chat. I met a man online and he did video chat with me, but he still asked me for money. When we video chatted, it was always him in his office. He couldn't chat for long because he was busy at work. He couldn't video chat at home because his company doesn't allow it. What am I missing? Is the man in the video scamming me? No. You're talking to somebody playing a fake video. So again, this comes down to what I've told you guys a million times. You're talking to somebody on video chat. Hi, talking to someone on video. Hey, while you're on video with me, why don't you write my name on a piece of paper, because you're in your office. Hey, you got paper and a pen, and then hold it up next to your face. So if they don't do that, then it's a scam. And I don't know of anybody with a job who doesn't allow video chat at home. I mean, I've known people that have worked for the government who still video chatted with their family and loved ones. So you were probably shown a video recording, and if you would have asked him to stand up or write your name on paper, the video would have stopped. So he's just playing a recording. And scammers dub over video recordings all the time with their own voice as well. How do you look up an IP address? Also, if you find it, where do you go from there? So this comes down to IP addresses are pretty much useless. I mean, I've had people come to me with a Gmail and say, I found the IP address. It's Mountain View, California. The scammer's in California. No. Google, Gmail, Yahoo Mail, they're all in the Bay Area. That's where they originate from. So scammers use Gmail a lot because most of the time the IP address is going to be Mountain View, California, because that's the hub of Google. It's not going to be Nigeria. And even if, or wherever, India, wherever the scammer's from, and even if you had that IP address, if you had the IP address to the scammer and it led you right to their house, No one's going to do anything about it. The government's not going to help you. The FBI is not going to go down there and get them. The EFCC won't even touch it. They'll say, file the report, tell us where your money was sent, tell us what happened. The IP means nothing because scammers change their IP addresses like the wind. I mean, you can be talking to a scammer today from Nigeria who has an IP address out of Texas and tomorrow has an IP address out of the Netherlands. They bounce them around. So it really doesn't, I mean, even if you could find it, it really doesn't do any good. I mean, even if you, like I said, you had the street address of the scammer, it's not going to, you're not going to get the scammer arrested. And yeah, most of them come, it's Mountain View, California, because that's the hub of Google. And Sunnyvale, California is the hub of Yahoo. So that's where they're going to come up from. It doesn't mean the scammer's in California. It means that they're using that Gmail service. Next question. Have you ever had an instance where a scammer tried to fake his accent, saying he's from the UK and did a British accent? The man I'm talking to online falls into all the categories. He's a widower, small child, engineer, but he says he's from the UK and has a British accent, and it sounds fake, but he won't video chat. Dude, scammers fake accents. They do. I had a scammer one time tell me he was Chinese, and he used a popular Chinese man. He's a businessman. He used his photo, and he told me I'm Chinese. And I said, well, okay, well, call me. And I talked to him as Betty, the old lady. And he tried to talk like a Chinese man, but you could hear that it was fake. So, you know, scammers do pretend to be British, that, you know, they pretend to be Australian, and Australian accent's really hard to do. But yeah, I've had scammers fake accents, and the one that I had that was pretending to be Chinese, after about 10 minutes of talking to him, he gave me a headache because it was so bad. I finally said, who the hell are you? You know, cut the crap out. And he was from Ghana. So they do. They do. They definitely do fake accents. So it does happen. And, you know, they try everything. So, I mean, why wouldn't they try to fake an accent? I actually had a scammer one time. I actually had a scammer one time who pretended to be a woman. And it was a guy, but he talked really super high. And after a while, after talking to him for, you know, 10, 15, 20 minutes, he finally could not keep his voice that high, and he finally kept dropping his voice. And, you know, it just, they try everything. They try anything and everything. So, yeah. And when in doubt, like I said, it comes down to if you won't video chat and all that, something's wrong. You know, and if the accent sounds wrong, like I can't do a British accent, I'm not British. So if I try to do a British accent, I'm going to sound like an idiot to someone who is from the UK or who is Australian. And, you know, if I tried to do an Australian accent and said, oh, yeah, you know, yeah, mate, you know, I'm going to sound like an idiot to someone that's native to that part of the world. So, yeah, they do try to fake accents. Absolutely. It's humorous. So we have one more question. And then if you guys have questions, I'll answer them, hang out for a little bit, and then we'll end this. Next question we have, I've met some guys online, and they seem nice, but within a few moments of chatting, they demand a photo of me holding up 2 fingers or blowing them a kiss, or demand my phone number, and are very aggressive. I suspect they are scammers, but why so aggressive? They're the ones who are fake. Why are they making me feel like I have to prove myself to them? They do that. Scammers will, I hate to say a really good scammer, a really well-seasoned scammer will say to you, the first 2 minutes you meet him, send me a picture of you blowing a kiss. Send me a picture of you holding your hand to your head. Send me a picture of you, you know, with a piece of paper with my name on it. Because those scammers are afraid of scam baiters. They're afraid of people playing games, and like I do, I play games with them, and wasting their time. So they'll come straight out and say, I want A, B, C, and D. Give it to me now, or I don't talk to you. That's just a scammer who doesn't want to play around. They want to know you're real so they can move forward with their scam. Those are business-minded scammers where they're not going to waste time. It's kind of like a salesman who's not going to waste time on a person who's not going to buy that big screen TV. It's the same principle when it comes to scamming. They're not going to waste time talking to someone like myself who's pretending to be an old lady when they can talk to a real old lady who's going to give them money. So that's why they do it. At the end of the day, you don't have to prove yourself because you're real, and don't feel obligated to give your phone number and things like that. So that was all our written in questions. So I'll answer questions in the chat if you'd like. I saw Francis, do scammers eat rice and fish only? No, I pretty much do, but no, they don't. Look, scammers come from all over. We get this preconceived notion that they're all from Nigeria. They're not. And yeah, there's a lot of scammers in Nigeria. There's just as many in India. There's just as many in Bangladesh. There's scammers in Canada. There's scammers in the US. Depending on where they're from, it depends on where somebody's from. No, they don't all eat just fish and rice. That's kind of a popular joke, but no, they don't. They come from all over, and we need to keep that in mind. Somebody a while back keeps calling me a racist, and I'm not a racist. What happens is if I do the inbox and 500 people write to me that are victims, unfortunately, probably 95% of the scammers behind the fake profiles are from West Africa. I can't help where they come from. If all the scammers doing romance scams were from Norway, then there'd be all Norwegian scammers' faces up there. Unfortunately, I can't help where they come from. And the victims that send in profiles, a lot of them are from West Africa, and it's unfortunate. How do a person find someone in the U.S. military in Iran with a photo? You really can't. And if you're talking to somebody who's in Iran, they're not going to. Well, first of all, there's no U.S. military in the ground in Iran. So if someone's telling you they're in Iran, they're full of it. And with a photo alone, keep in mind a lot of these military photos are 10 and 15 years old. We had scammers using military photos of men that were from the 2001 Afghanistan invasion. The uniforms weren't even valid anymore. They didn't even use those uniforms anymore. And they were saying, oh, I'm in Iran. So just keep in mind that it's almost impossible. But if someone's telling you they're in Iran and they're in the U.S. military, they're a scammer. They're not real. Hello. Hi, everyone that's joining us. How am I feeling? I'm feeling okay. I've been off work now for like 6 days, and I work a lot. Like I work 50, 60 hours a week sometimes. So for me to be off work and actually be stuck in the house, it's kind of mind-numbing. But I have to stay in for 14 days, and then with work and things, we'll see how things go. I don't know what's going to happen with my job, so I'm kind of up in the air right now. But I'm health-wise, I feel fine. How can I tell if the guy I am talking to is who he says he is, and the pictures he sends are real? Well, you can do. He claims he's in Spain from the USA. I'd be a little, questionable. What's his story? So why is he in Spain? What's his life story? Is he a widow? Has he got a tiny kid? Is he dead wife? If the photos are, have you put the photos through TinEye or Yandex to see where they come from? What's his name? What has he asked of you? Does he have a phone number? There's a lot of different factors in ways to tell. Has he video chatted you? When he video chats you, can you have him write your name on paper and hold it right next to his face? Can you do all those things? If it's no, then it's a scammer. People in Spain video chat. So it's just something to kind of piece the puzzle together. So, what are they asking of you? What's his story? And that's a lot of victims will bring us photos and they'll say, is this man a scam? And I'll say, well, I don't know. What is he telling you? And they'll say, well, he's a widow. He's 75 years old and he has a 3-year-old child, and his wife, her breast exploded and she died. And, then I said, scammer. So how do I get him to do a video chat? Go on Skype. Tell him download Skype or download Hangouts. I mean, if you're probably already on Hangouts with him. Or if you're on Facebook, or if you're on not Instagram, but Facebook, video chat. Go to Messenger, hit the video button, and call him. See if he video chats with you. Kathleen, he's a real estate agent. If he's a real estate agent in the U.S., why is he in Spain? I'd be a little suspicious. I mean, I'd have to know what all he's saying and what his story is, but that's kind of a little suspicious. I would ask him to video chat. I mean, that's what you come down to. Hey, video chat with me. You know, if you're talking to him on Facebook, if you're talking to him on wherever, you can video chat. Um, Hi, Kristen. Hi, everyone that's coming in. I'm glad you like our stories. I'll have some more victim stories coming out this week. I've just been dealing with a lot of stuff with being quarantined. So, but I have people that have sent their stories in, and I'll read them this week. Um, they all seem to have Spanish mothers. So, okay, Kelly, if you have him on Hangouts and his phone cam doesn't work, then something's wrong because my phone cam works just fine. So yeah, it's probably a scammer if he won't pick up on cam. Yeah, if someone, like I said, it comes down to if they're capable of downloading Hangouts, if they're capable of downloading WhatsApp, and let's say they haven't downloaded anything, but they have a phone. There's a thing called Google Duo, and that's just purely video chat. So if they have a smartphone or an iPhone, they have Duo on their phone. They can just tap that and do a video chat with you, and it has all their contacts already on video chat. So I would demand video chat. If they can't, block them and move on. You know, that's what I do. You know, if you're talking, I've had victims come to me and say, you know, I've been talking to this man for 5 months and he won't video chat, but he wants to marry me and buy me a house. Something's wrong. A real person who wants to love you, who wants to be with you, and online relationships do work, and the long distance ones do work. However, they work because you have these ways to connect. Video chat. If someone won't video chat with you, block them. That's it. You know, and you should always meet them. Like, so someone asked me a question that you know, it was hard for me to answer because they said, okay, look, I'm talking to somebody online. How long do you wait? What, you're in an online relationship. How long should you wait before you meet in person? So the only way I could answer that was speaking through my own experience, to where I met Anne in February. It was February of 2014. We chatted online for about 2 weeks. We Skyped 2 weeks later. We phone called first. Skyped every day. Fast forward to the end of May, and this is talking every single day on Skype nearly if I wasn't at work. And the end of May, we decided this is a relationship. So we decided we're going to meet. Now, keep in mind, I live in Oregon. She lives in Australia. So from February to May, we got to know each other. We video chatted every day. End of May, we decided we're going to be in a committed relationship. We're going to try and make this work. On July 30th of that same year, I flew over to Australia to meet her. So we're talking February, March, April, May, June, July. 6 months from the first time we met online to the end of July, that's when we met in person. Now, it doesn't always work that way for everybody. And at the time, you know, when I flew over there, you have to keep in mind that from where I live to her, it cost upwards of $2,000 for me to fly over there. However, you want to be with somebody, you'll make the effort to get over there and meet them. So I can't give you a certain time frame when you should meet somebody, but if you're connecting on a level where you're talking about being in a committed relationship with them, you're video chatting, you're getting to know each other, depending on where they live, 6 months, you should be meeting that person in person. You know, a fake profile is going to tell you, you know, I want to buy you a house, I want to marry you, I want to be with you, and they've never met you. A real person is going to meet you first, spend a lot of time with you, get to know you over the months, the years, meet you in person, and then think about marriage. So you got to think of it that way. Scammers, you know, they want to marry you right away. And a normal person doesn't want that. You know, I met Anne in February of 2014, and if you would have asked me 2 weeks later if I wanted to marry her, I'd be like, well, hell, I never met her. That's what a normal person's reaction is. So keep that in mind. You know, if you're talking to somebody online and they want to marry you right away, something's very, very wrong. So thanks, Joseph. Appreciate your comment. Yeah, if you're talking to somebody for 14 months, they haven't video chatted with you, there's something wrong. And of course, he always has a daughter. They always have a kid. So the majority, I'd say probably 95% of fake profiles have a little tiny child, a little daughter, a little son, and the little daughter needs a mother, and they want you to be in that daughter's life, and that's the way that they pull at your heartstrings. So just remember that. I mean, that's the majority of them have little kids. That's a huge red flag. Need money, the camera's broken, they got a tiny kid, they want to marry you, they want to be with you, they've been talking to you for a year and a half, whatever it is, 14 months. It's a scam. And the sad part of it is, and I hate to sound, yeah, even a 16-year-old, I mean, they have daughters in high school, they have daughters in college, they always have a kid. The truth of it is, and I hate to sound harsh, but it's probably a scammer. I'm 99% sure it's a scammer. And the reason being is if he has a 16-year-old daughter, one of them in the house has a webcam. I don't know any 16-year-old on this planet that doesn't have a webcam on their phone. So yeah, it's definitely a scammer. Um, I would quit talking to him, but that's just me. You know, it's probably, you're probably, the problem with it is too is, and people get upset with me when I say this. If you're, let's just say you're 45 years old and you're talking to a man who says he's 50, you're in a relationship with him, and then in reality you're probably talking to an 18-year-old kid. And that's where a lot of people get upset with me, but it's true. The majority of scammers that we find online, they're between the ages of 14 and 25 years old, and that's the base of how old scammers are. And Kelly, I know it's hard, like I understand, um but it's, I'd rather you like find out now than just hang on with somebody for months and months and months and months and months. It's hard. It's hard. And if his kid doesn't chat, also if you've ever chatted with this kid, you're probably talking to the scammer as the kid. They do that quite often as well. So, I had a good one a few months ago. Claims he was an ex-FBI agent retiring soon, and to prove that I was real, he wanted my social security number, and he would send me his. Yeah, no, that's okay. um, Anyone asking for your social security number, don't give it. And a lot of scammers do give you social security numbers. They give you social security numbers of people that they've scammed before and gotten that number. And so, and there's also a website called ssncheck.com or .org, and you can just type in any social security number and it'll tell you if it's real or not. And scammers use that to get social security numbers too. So, but yeah, just be aware. I mean, it's hard, and a lot of people, it's hard to accept that it is a scammer, because scammers manipulate. They emotionally manipulate people. They tell you what you want to hear, and you know they say all the things that you've never heard before that you've been wanting to hear all your life, and that's how they get you, unfortunately. Thanks for your comment. Long distance relationships are very hard. Um, it's it takes a lot of patience. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of money, and you have to work a lot to make it work. Both emotionally and financially, it's extremely hard. So, but people can find love online. I mean, people have asked me before, do you think you can find love online? Absolutely, but you just have to be honest with the person, upfront with the person, and they have to be honest with you about what they want and what they don't want, and it can work. So, but it can be hard. Definitely can be hard. But again, like I said, when I met Anne, she was suspicious of me because I came onto the page and started commenting, and I found the page very educational. I never really knew about the in depth of romance scams, and when we first met, she had said to me, "Well, Skype with me." And I'd never been on Skype. Like, it wasn't something I used, and I had my laptop was an old Dell laptop, like it had Windows 98, and I'm like, okay. And the first time we went to video chat, my end of Skype wouldn't work, and I was getting so upset because I knew I was real, but I couldn't get my camera to turn on and connect with the Skype. My software wasn't compatible. Something was going on. But what I did is I made the effort. The very next day, I figured out how to work my webcam, and I got on camera with her, so she knew I was real. But it does happen. I work for a company that sends MoneyGram now, I was scammed. Scamming scammers is how I figured it out. Oh, well, I'm glad we were able to help you. I'm sorry that you were scammed, though. Um, it happens a lot. The only thing I'll give credit to MoneyGram and Western Union, they're cracking down on sending money. I was actually at the store the other day, and a lady was trying to send money to Nigeria, and they wouldn't let her. They told her, "No, this doesn't sound right. We can't do it. We can't send money," and she wasn't able to send money. So, in some senses, they are kind of cracking down, but in another, they're kind of letting all other things run rampant. Cash App is huge for scammers now. They send money via Cash App, PayPal, all that kind of stuff. So, it's kind of like they put out one fire, but then scammers create another one. They always find a way to get money no matter what. So, but it does definitely happen. So, but as I said, appreciate you guys coming out to the Q&A. If you're just joining us or haven't been on a whole lot, I'm quarantined for 14 days in my house. My job had a possible exposure to COVID-19, so I've been stuck in my house. This is, I think, day 6. So I'll probably do more Q&As. You guys have been asking for more of them on YouTube, which I don't mind doing. It's not a problem at all. Before in the past, it was finding time to do them. Now I have all the time in the world, so we'll probably do more Q&As. Christian, where are you from? I live in Oregon. I live in Oregon in the mountains and near Portland. And Anne, who's the other page owner, she lives in Newcastle, Australia. So that's where we're both from. So yeah, but yeah, I live in Oregon. I spent a majority of my life in California, but yeah, I live in Oregon. You're from Ohio. It's nice to meet you. But yeah, I've lived all over. Like I've lived in Texas. I've lived overseas. I've lived in California. I've been in Oregon now for 11 years. So I live just outside of Portland. When is Betty Lou coming on? So I've been trying to get scammers to voice chat with Betty on our fake dating profiles. And last night I had 4 Dr. Pintos talking to me at one time, which was kind of annoying. They all used the same photo, but all had different names, and they were all chatting to me at once. I've been trying to do some Betty voice chats. I would tell you that work got in my way and I wasn't able to do a lot of voice chats. And now that I'm not working, I could probably do them every night. I'll try to do the old lady tonight. The thing of it is scammers don't come online till late. They come online at 11, 12 o'clock. So I'll tell you guys what, tonight I'll try to do some voice chats with some scammers because I've got a whole scenario made up about the coronavirus and how Bardeen and Betty are dealing with the coronavirus. They're locked themselves in the basement with plastic wrap over their face. So I will try to chat as the old lady tonight and see if I can get it. The creepy laugh. So I'll try to do some voice chats tonight. If so, I'll post the videos in the morning. So someone asked me what the country lady's name is. I tell you guys her name is Betty. Betty is the lady, and then Bardeen is the sister. And if you guys haven't watched it, I chat with scammers as an old idiot country lady who doesn't know very much, and she's just had 10 husbands and all these things. And so I'll try tonight to chat. Hopefully we can work in the coronavirus into her chat. Hi, John. It's kind of a sensitive subject because it's kind of it's scary. Like we're all scared. We're all scared of getting sick and stuff, but we have to laugh too. So I'll try to do some. Kathleen, he sends me pictures of himself, but won't video chat because he needs iTunes cards so he can video chat. Scammer. You don't need iTunes cards to video chat. Scammers use the iTunes cards to upload and use for their apps like dating apps and games and things like that. Also, scammers use them and they sell them. So if you give a fake profile an iTunes card, it's like handing over $50 to a scammer. You are 100% talking to a scammer. Nobody needs iTunes cards to video chat. So definitely a scammer. Definitely a scammer. So I would block that person. I wouldn't even bother with them at this point. Just block them because it's a scam. And keep in mind that scammers that are asking for iTunes cards are young guys. They're 14 to 20, 21. They all want those iTunes cards because they have the latest Apple phones, but they don't need them to video chat. So yeah, definitely a scammer. She is a spunky old lady. When you say, "Are you there, sweetheart?" Yeah. Are you there, sweetheart? I'll try to chat tonight as the old lady and see what comes up. Um, and the son Kyle. So I've had a lot of you guys ask for these voice chats, and I'll try to do some and get them uploaded for you guys tonight. But we've been on here for a while. I appreciate all you guys coming to the Q&A. I didn't think so many people would join. We have more people on this one than we do on YouTube. What about Bitcoin? How do they get you other than your money? So Bitcoin is interesting. Bitcoin is almost untraceable. Bitcoin is it's the same as cash, really. They'll ask you to buy into Bitcoin. A lot of people use their bank accounts to buy Bitcoin, and then they send the Bitcoins to the scammers. They'll have scammers will have you open what's called a chain block or chain wallet, and they'll have you get a username, login, put your bank details on there, and then they'll say, "Okay, give me the login, dear, and I'll get you your Bitcoins." They use your money to buy Bitcoins, and it's almost untraceable once they transfer that Bitcoin. So if someone's asking you about Bitcoins or wanting you to buy them, just block them. It's always a scam. Do you ever deal with Social Security scammers? Those guys crack me up sometimes. I've dealt with IRS scammers, and I've dealt with Publishers Clearinghouse as the old lady. Social Security scammers, I had one from India that I called one time, and he got really angry with me and just hung up. Like he wouldn't play with me as much as the romance scammers do. But yeah, I've dealt with some of those as well. I have a guy that's trying to manipulate me by seeing he's got to use a nude pic, and oh yeah, that happens a lot. It's nude photos and things. It's a common scam, very common scam. And I've had scammers call Betty. Betty has a phone number, and I've had scammers call her and say that they're Facebook and that they can help me get my Facebook profile back. And I didn't lose it, but they'll claim that as well, and I just play with them. But there's a lot of great YouTube channels that play with those type of scammers, like Scambait Central and Carol Slamming Scammers. She plays with those type of scammers too, and they're fun. They're fun to play with. But I more or less play with the romance scammer ones. I just like to pretend to be this old lady looking for love and country lady and tell them a bunch of garbage. I had Dr. Pinto last night ask me what I did for a living. I told him that I worked at a toilet paper factory and that I had to quit because of mental distress. So, and Little Piece Scam Baits calls them too. That's another great scam baiting channel. But yeah, I do mostly the romance scam ones, and then you guys do the call center ones. So, but yeah, we'll try to do some more chats, and then if you guys like the Q&A, we'll do a Q&A more often. I don't come on here a whole lot, but maybe I should come on here more. We did a Facebook Q&A a couple days ago, and we only had like a handful of people. But on this one, we had a lot more people. So, have you considered working with other big YouTubers? I would love to, but nobody acknowledges me. Rosie IRL, somebody wrote to her and asked her if she would work with me in doing different voices and calling scammers, and she said, "Oh, it sounds good," and then nothing ever came of it. Yeah, I'd love to work with other YouTubers. Keep in mind that our YouTube channel, we're not monetized, so we do this for free. We don't get paid for this. YouTube will not monetize our channel because of the content. It's considered controversial. So everything we do is just for fun and educational purposes. But yeah, I'd love to work with different YouTubers or get an opportunity to go a little further with what we do. But again, at the end of the day, it's about educating people. It's about keeping people safe and making sure people don't get scammed. I'll do this every day till the day I die, as long as it helps victims. That's really the main objective of it. But yeah, sure. So I think it'd be great if we teamed up with big YouTubers too. I mean, who knows? You know, I never know who's watching the channel. So hey, if you want to hook up and do a video, let's go. So, but I appreciate it. Thanks, and I'm glad you guys watch. I mean, it means a lot to me if you guys enjoy the channel. So it's a labor of love for sure. Someone asked me one time, how long does it take you to make a video? So for every 5 minutes of a video, it's an hour of editing. So when I talk as the country lady and it's a 20-minute video, it's a long process to make the video, but I appreciate it. So thanks to everyone who's come out to chat. I'm going to close this Q&A because we've been on here for quite a while, and I'm getting my voice ready for tonight. So we'll talk as Betty tonight on some of the dating sites. How do I find a guy who's a scammer? His name is James Liam. I can't find anything on him. Barbara, if you are on Facebook, if you go under Scamming Scammers Action and hit the inbox, I can try and help you from the inbox. If you don't have Facebook, scammingscammers@gmail.com. I don't check the email every single day, but I will check it. If you have the information on the person, send it to me and I'll take a look, and we can try and investigate it for you. Again, it comes down to what the person is telling you. And one more thing before I leave, I want to let you guys know, on our YouTube channel, we get thousands of comments every day. I cannot read every single one. But I had people telling me that there was a scammer writing to people on the comments saying, hey, I can help find your scammer for you. I work for the FBI. I work for Interpol. Anybody that PMs you on this channel that says they work for a federal government or anything, it's a scam. Just block them. Just don't even acknowledge them. Just block them. I can't catch every single comment, but just keep that in mind. Just block them. So the FBI net is not going to PM you from YouTube. So good night, everybody who's going to bed. Betty and Bardeen will be safe. They'll be fine. They're invincible. But thanks for joining me, and I hope you guys stay safe, whatever state, country, world, part of the world you're in. We're all kind of terrified of this virus, and I know I am, and I'm trying to stay really, really safe, and I hope you guys stay safe too. A lot of love to you guys. We'll do another Q&A soon. Good night, Peggy. Good night, all the regulars. Good night, all the new people. And I hope to make some new videos this week. You guys take care. If you need help, you can find us on Facebook under Scamming Scammers Action. If you're not on Facebook, scammingscammers@gmail.com, and I'll try to answer you as soon as I can. Judy, if a scammer's threatening you, just block them. Keep in mind that the scammer's in a place that they can't leave their country. They're not going to come to your house, so you're perfectly fine. Don't be scared. Just block them. Nothing ever has happened. Just block them. All right, I'm out of here. I got to go prep for Betty. So I'll see you guys. Have a good night. Much love, and be safe and be healthy. Talk to you soon. Bye.